Hi there. My name's Russell Raphael. I have a group called North London Ulysses, and we meet every week and read Ulysses in the pub. And I then produce these videos to repeat some of what we've read, about maybe half of what we've read, and then further videos in which I give my thoughts on about what we've read. And we've got up to chapter 9, insofar as there are any chapters in Ulysses. It's a portion that Joyce suggested might be called Scylla and Charybdis. Not the easiest chapter in the book, quite the opposite. Really very, very dense, quite tricky. It's not where I wouldn't say it's one where people give up on the book, because if they've got this far, they're probably made of sterner stuff and they're going to stick it out. But it is really very complex. But we will get through it. So we left in the last chapter. We left Bloom, heart panting and heavy breathing, as he ran from someone that he thought might be Blazes Boylan. He was about to go into the National Library, which is his ultimate destination, because he wants to get himself a copy of the Kilkenny People from 1903 to see a design for an advertisement that he wants to replicate. He won't be able to get it, of course, but at least he'll be able to see it and take a copy of it, perhaps draw it out, because the National Library, you can imagine, keeps copies of all the newspapers, local and national. But he's distracted by thinking he's seen Boylan, and he runs into the National Museum instead, and we'll look at the statues as we discussed last time. But his ultimate destination is to get into the library, and we will see a bit of Bloom this chapter, but mainly it's Stephen. So our scene is the National Library. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The organ devoted to this chapter is the brain, which doesn't augur well, does it? We're in the company of highly intellectual people, and Stephen is going to try and impress upon these people that he's got the intellectual chops, perhaps to be in their company, engage with them, and they've heard that he's got a theory on Shakespeare's Hamlet, and he's going to discuss that with them. And let's remind ourselves of what that theory is, because Mulligan summarized it in chapter 1, way back on page 21 in the Penguin. Now, Mulligan, we know, will be glib, and we can't necessarily assume that this is completely the theory, but I think it's a good start. And he says, "It's quite simple. He proves by algebra that Hamlet's grandson is Shakespeare's grandfather, and that he himself is the ghost of his own father." And he says that to Haynes, and you can imagine that rather confuses Haynes, as it does the rest of us. But now Stephen is going to see if he can justify it with really the top brass, the top literary brass in Ireland when it comes to men of letters. Before we get on to them, let's think about Homer. And this is called Scylla and Charybdis. Well, what is that? Those are two physical features in what would now be the Straits of Messina, the narrow body of water dividing the mainland of Italy and Sicily. And Circe has advised Odysseus in terms of navigation. And Circe has said to him, well, look, you can't go anywhere near the Wandering Rocks. Too dangerous. That means you're going to take the lesser of two evils and you're going to have to go between Scylla and Charybdis. But that is no walk in the park either, because what is that? Well, Scylla is a very tall, steep cliff and quite a long way up, for too high up for arrows to reach, lives a monster called Scylla. The monster is normally described in female nomenclature, and so she has 6 necks and 6 heads with ferocious teeth, and if you sail too close to Scylla, you will lose 6 of your men. She will reach down and eat 6 of your men. It's a racing certainty that will happen. Interesting, a racing, yes. So, of course, we've just had the Grand National in Britain, talking of racing certainties. But this will be a chapter of choices and hedging one's bets. So that doesn't sound good, sailing too close to Scylla. Well, what's the alternative? Is that you keep your distance from Scylla, but then you're near Charybdis, which on the face of it looks a lot easier. It's quite benign. There's a rock with a fig tree, an established fig tree on it, maybe a couple of rocks, but with a fig tree. And that no monsters, so good. Problem there is that beneath that rock of Charybdis is a whirlpool, and if you get caught in that whirlpool, you will get sucked down and you'll all die, your whole fleet, no question. Now, many commentators have said, well, so the choice is the loss of 6 or the loss of all. And so, these are commentators that I think should know better, because that's obviously no choice at all. You take the loss of 6 over the loss of all. But life is not quite as simple as that, because Charybdis, the whirlpool, is not a constant. The whirlpool happens 3 times a day. So you may well sail close to Charybdis and get through it unscathed. So the choice is the definite loss of 6 or the possible loss of all, but potentially the loss of 0. So Charybdis is a real gamble, and that makes for a much more interesting choice. And as we go through this chapter, we'll see all sorts of choices that face Stephen and all of us. So that sort of sets the scene. This video is a reading video, so I'm going to read. I'm going to start on page 235 in the Penguin version, and I'm going to read 10 or so pages, not quite as many as we did in the pub, but there or thereabouts. My interpretation video that will accompany this will be much more detailed than usual. I think as befits this chapter, I think it warrants it. You need, I suspect people need a little more help, and I'm going to go through it almost line by line. Okay, so on top of page 235, we'll get going. Urbane, to comfort them, the Quaker librarian purred. And we have we not? Those priceless pages of Wilhelm Meister, a great poet and a great brother poet. A hesitating soul taking arms against a sea of troubles, torn by conflicting doubts, as one sees in real life. He came a syncopace forward on Neat's leather creaking, and a step backward, a syncopace on the solemn floor. A noiseless attendant, setting open the door but slightly, made him a noiseless beck. Directly, said he, creaking to go, albeit lingering. The beautiful, ineffectual dreamer who comes to grief against hard facts. One always feels that Goethe's judgments are so true in the larger analysis. Twice creakingly analysis, he carantoed off. Bored, most zealous by the door, he gave his large ear all to the attendant's words, heard them, and was gone. Two left. Monsieur de la Palisse, Stephen sneered, was alive 15 minutes before his death. Have you found those 6 brave medicals? John Eglinton asked, with eld as goal, to write Paradise Lost at your dictation. The sorrows of Satan, he calls it. Smile, smile, Cranley's smile. First he tickled her, then he patted her, then he passed the female catheter, for he was a medical, jolly old medical. I feel you'd need one more for Hamlet. 7 is dear to the mystic mind. The Shining Seven, W.B. calls them. Glitter-eyed, his rufous skull close to his green-capped desk lamp sought the face, bearded, amid dark green a shadow, an olive, holy-eyed. He laughed low, a sizer's laugh of Trinity, unanswered. Orchestral Satan, weep in many a rude, tears such as angels weep, ed egli avea del cal fatto trombetta. He holds my follies hostage. Cranley's 11 true Wicklemen to free their soil, gap-toothed Kathleen, her 4 beautiful green fields, the stranger in her house, and one more to hail him, Ave Rabbi. The Tinnahaley 12, in the shadow of the glen he cooees for them. My soul's youth I gave him, night by night. Godspeed, good hunting. Mulligan is my telegram. Folly, persist. Our young Irish bards, John Eglinton censured, have yet to create a figure which the world was set beside Saxon Shakespeare's Hamlet, though I admire him, as old Ben did, on this side idolatry. All these questions are purely academic, Russell oracled out of his shadow. I mean, whether Hamlet is Shakespeare or James I or Essex, clergymen's discussions of the historicity of Jesus. Art has to reveal to us ideas, formless, spiritual essences. The supreme question about a work of art is, out of how deep a life does it spring? The painting of Gustave Moreau is the painting of ideas. The deepest poetry of Shelley, the words of Hamlet, bring our mind into contact with the eternal wisdom, Plato's world of ideas. All the rest is speculation of schoolboys for schoolboys. A.E. has been telling some Yankee interviewer, while tarnations strike me. The schoolmen were schoolboys first, Stephen said, super politely. Aristotle was once Plato's schoolboy, and has remained so, one should hope, John Eglinton sedately said. One can see him, a model schoolboy, with his diploma under his arm. He laughed again at the now smiling, bearded face. Formless, spiritual. Father, Word, and Holy Breath, all Father, the heavenly man, Jesus Christos, magician of the beautiful, the Logos, who suffers in us at every moment. This verily is that. I am the fire upon the altar, I am the sacrificial butter. Dunlop, Judge, the noblest Roman of them all, A.E. Arval, the name ineffable, in heaven, height, K.H., their master, whose identity is no secret to adepts. Brothers of the Great White Lodge, always watching to see if they can help. The Christ with the bride sister, moisture of light, born of an ensouled virgin, repentant Sophia, departed to the plane of Budai. The life esoteric is not for ordinary person. O.P. must work off bad karma first. Mrs. Cooper Oakley once glimpsed a very illustrious sister, H.P.B.'s elemental. Oh, fie, oh, out, aunt, Fee Teufel. Oh, you oughtn't to look, Mrs. So you oughtn't when a lady's a showing of her elemental. Mr. Best entered, tall, young, mild, light. He bore in his hand with grace a notebook, new, large, clean, bright. That model schoolboy, Stephen said, would find Hamlet's musings about the afterlife of his princely soul, the improbable, insignificant, and undramatic monologue, a shadow as Plato's. John Eglinton said, frowning, said, waxing wroth. Upon my word, it makes my blood boil to hear anyone compare Aristotle with Plato. Which of the two, Stephen asked, would have banished me from his commonwealth? Unsheathe your dagger definitions. Hoarseness is the whatness of all horse. Streams of tendency and aeons they worship. God, noise in the street, very peripatetic. Space, what you damn well have to see. Through space is smaller than red globules of man's blood. They creepy crawl after Blake's, Blake's buttocks into eternity, of which this vegetable world is but a shadow. Hold to the now, the here, through which all future plunges to the past. Mr. Best came forward, amiable towards his colleague. Haynes is gone, he said. Is he? I was showing him Jubainville's book. He's quite enthusiastic, don't you know, about Hyde's Love Songs of Connacht. I couldn't bring him in to hear the discussion. He's gone to Gill's to buy it. Bound thee forth my booklet quick, to greet the callous public. Writ, I ween, 'twas not my wish, in lean, unlovely English. The peat smoke is going to his head, John Eglinton opined. We fail in England, penitent thief, gone. I smoked his baccy, green twinkling stone, an emerald set in the ring of the sea. People do not know how dangerous love songs can be, the auric egg of Russell warned coldly. The movements which work revolutions in the world are born out of the dreams and visions in a peasant's heart on the hillside. For them the earth is not exploitable ground, but the living mother. The rarefied air of the academy and the arena produce the 6 shilling novel, the music hall song. France produces the finest flower of corruption in Mallarmé, but the desirable life is revealed only to the poor of heart, the life of Homer's Phaeacians. From these words, Mr. Best turned an unoffending face to Stephen. Oh, Mallarmé, don't you know, he said, has written those wonderful prose poems Steve McKenna used to read to me in Paris. The one about Hamlet, he says, il s'est promené lisant au livre de lui-même, don't you know, reading the book of himself. He describes Hamlet given in a French town, don't you know, a provincial town. They advertised it. His free hand graciously wrote tiny signs in air. Hamlet au Les Distraits, pièce de Shakespeare. He repeated to John Eglinton's new-gathered frown, Pièce de Shakespeare, don't you know? Oh, it's so French, the French point of view. Hamlet, oh, the absent-minded beggar, Stephen ended. John Eglinton laughed. Yes, I suppose it would be, he said. Excellent people, no doubt, but distressingly short-sighted in some matters. Sumptuous and stagnant exaggeration of murder. A death of the soul, Robert Greene called him, Stephen said. Not for nothing was he a butcher's son, wielding the sledded pole-axe and spitting in his palm. 9 lives are taken off for his father's one, our Father who art in purgatory. Khaki Hamlets don't hesitate to shoot. The blood-bolted shambles in Act 5 is a forecast of the concentration camp sung by Mr. Swinburne. Cranley, his mute orderly, following battles from afar, whelps and dams of murderous foes, whom none but we had spared. Between the Saxon smile and Yankee yawp, the devil in the deep blue sea. He will have it that Hamlet is a ghost story, John Eglinton said for Mr. Best's behoof. Like the fat boy in Pickwick, He wants to make our flesh creep. List, list, oh list. My flesh hears him, creeping, hears. If thou didst ever. Well, what is a ghost? Stephen said, with tingling energy. One who has faded into impalpability through death, through absence, through change of manners. Elizabethan London lay as far from Stratford as corrupt Paris lies from virgin Dublin. Who is the ghost from limbo patrum returning to the world that has forgotten him? Who is King Hamlet? John Eglinton shifted his spare body, leaning back to judge. Lifted. It is this hour of the day in mid-June, Stephen said, begging with a swift glance their hearing. The flag is up on the playhouse by the bankside. The bare sacristan growls in the pit near it, Paris Garden. Canvas climbers who sailed with Drake chew their sausages among the groundlings. Local colour, working all you know, make 'em accomplices. Shakespeare has left the Huguenot's house in Scylla Street and walks by the Swan Mews along the river bank, but he does not stray to feed the pen, chivying her game of cygnets towards the rushes. The Swan of Avon has other thoughts. Composition of place. Ignatius Loyola, make haste to help me. The play begins. A player comes on under the shadow, made up in the cast-off mail of a court book. A well-set man with a bass voice. It is the ghost. The king, a king and no king. And the player is Shakespeare, who has studied Hamlet all the years of his life, which were not vanity, in order to play the part of the spectre. He speaks the words to Burbage, the young player who stands before him beyond the rack of cerecloth, calling him by his name. Hamlet, I am thy father's spirit, bidding him to list. To a son he speaks, the son of his soul, the prince, young Hamlet, and to the son of his body, Hamnet Shakespeare, who has died in Stratford that his namesake may live forever. Is it possible that that player Shakespeare, a ghost by absence, and in the vesture of buried Denmark, a ghost by death, speaking his own words to his own son's name? Had Hamlet Shakespeare lived, he would have been Prince Hamlet's twin. Is it possible, I want to know, or probable, that he did not draw or foresee the logical conclusion of those premises? You are the dispossessed son, I am the murdered father, your mother is the guilty queen, and Shakespeare, born Hathaway? But this prying into the family life of a great man, Russell began impatiently. Art thou there, Truepenny? Interesting only to the parish clerk. I mean, we have the plays. I mean, when we read the poetry of King Lear, what is it to us how the poet lived? As for living, our servants can do that for us, Villiers Delisle has said. Peeping and prying into green room gossip of the day, the poet's drinking, the poet's debts. We have King Lear, and it is immortal. Mr. Best's face appealed to, agreed. Flow over them with your waves and with your waters, Mannanan MacLear. How now, Sarah, that pound he lent you when you were hungry? Marry, I wanted it. Take thou this noble. Go to. You spent most of it in Georgina Johnson's bed, clergyman's daughter. I can buy to begin with. Do you intend to pay it back? Oh, yes. When? Now? Well, no. When then? I paid my way. Steady on. He's from Bent, Boyne-Water, the northeast corner. You owe it. Wait, 5 months. Molecules all change. I'm other eye now. Other eye got pound. Buzz, buzz. But I, entelechy, form of forms, am I by memory, because under ever-changing forms. I that sinned and prayed and fasted, a child con me safe from pandies. I, A-E, I-O-U. Do you mean to fly in the face of the tradition of 3 centuries? John Eglinton's carping voice asked. Her ghost, at least, has been laid forever. She died, for literature at least, before she was born. She died, Stephen retorted, 67 years after she was born. She saw him into and out of the world. She took his first embraces. She bore his children, and she laid pennies on his eyes to keep his eyelids closed when he lay on his deathbed. Mother's deathbed, candle, the sheeted mirror. Who brought me into this world lies there, bronze-lidded, under a few cheap flowers, liliata rutilantium. I wept alone. John Eglinton looked in the tangled glowworm of his lamp. The world believes that Shakespeare made a mistake, he said, and got out of it as quickly and as best he could. Bosh, Stephen said rudely. A man of genius makes no mistakes. His errors are volitional and are the portals of discovery. Portals of discovery opened to let in the Quaker librarian, soft, creak-footed, bold-eared, and assiduous. A shrew, John Eglinton said shrewdly, is not a useful portal of discovery, one should imagine. What useful discovery did Socrates learn from Xanthippe? Dialectic, Stephen answered, and from his mother, how to bring thoughts into the world. What he learned from his other wife, Myrto, absit nomen, Socratidians epipsychidian, no man, not a woman, will ever know. But neither the midwife's lore nor the court lectures saved him from the archons of Sinn Fein and their noggin of hemlock. But Anne Hathaway, Mr. Best's quiet voice said forgetfully. Yes, we seem to be forgetting her as Shakespeare himself forgot her. His look went from Bruder's beard to Carper's skull, to remind, to chide them, not unkindly, then to the bold pink Lollard costard, guiltless, though maligned. He had a good groat's worth of wit, Stephen said, and no truant memory. He carried a memory in his wallet as he trudged to Romville, whistling The Girl I Left Behind Me. If the earthquake did not time it, we should know where to place poor Watt, sitting in his form, the cry of hounds, the studied bridle and her blue windows. That memory, Venus and Adonis, lay in the bedchamber of every light of love in London. Is Catherine the Shoe true ill-favoured? Hortensio calls her young and beautiful. Do you think the writer of Antony and Cleopatra, a passionate pilgrim, had eyes in the back of his head that he chose the ugliest doxy in all Warwickshire to lie withal? Good. He left her and gained the world of men. But his boy women are the women of a boy. Their life, thought, speech are lent them by males. He chose badly? He was chosen, it seems to me. If others have their will, Anne Hathaway. By cock she was to blame. She put the commodore on him sweet and 26. The grey-eyed goddess who bends over the boy Adonis, stooping to conquer, as prologue to the swelling act, is a bold-faced Stratford wench who tumbles in a cornfield, a lover younger than herself. And my turn. When? Come. Raphael, Mr. Best said brightly, gladly, raising his new book, gladly, brightly. He murmured then, with blonde delight for all, between the acres of the Ray, though these pretty country folk would lie. Paris, the well-pleased pleaser. A tall figure in bearded homespun rose from shadow and unveiled its cooperative watch. I'm afraid I'm due at the homestead. Whither away? Exploitable ground. Are you going? John Eglinton's active eyebrows asked. Shall we see you at Moore's tonight? Piper is coming. A Piper? Mr. Best piped. Is Piper back? Peter Piper pecked a pick of pickled pepper. I don't know if I can, Thursday. We have a meeting. If I can get away in time. Yogi Bogie box in Dawson Chambers, Isis unveiled. Their pally book we tried to pawn. Cross-legged under an umbral umbershoot, he thrones an Aztec logos. functioning on astral levels there over so Mahamatma. The faithful hermetists await the light, ripe for fellowship, ring round about him. Louis H. Victory, T. Crawford Irwin. Lotus late is tender in the eyes, their pineal glands aglow. Filled with his God he thrones, bud under plantain, gopher of souls in gopher. He sows, she sows, shows of souls, engulfed with wailing, Cree cries, world whirling, they bewail. In quintessential triviality, for years in this flesh case a she so dwelt. They say we are to have a literary surprise, the Quaker librarian said, friendly and earnest. Mr. Russell, rumour has it, is gathering together a sheaf of our young poet's verses. We are all looking forward anxiously. Anxiously he glanced in the cone of lamplight where three faces lighted shone. See this, remember. Stephen looked down on a wide, headless cabine hung on his ash-plant handle over his knee. My cask and sword, touched lightly with two index fingers. Aristotle's experiment. 1 or 2. Necessity is that in virtue of which it is impossible that one can be otherwise. Argal, one hat is one hat. Listen. Young Coleman Starkey. George Roberts is doing the commercial part. Longworth will give it a good puff in the Express. Oh, will he? I liked Column's Drover. Yes, I think he has that queer thing, genius. Do you think he has genius, really? Yeats admired his line, as in Wild Earth a Grecian vase. Oh, did he? I hope he'll be able to come tonight. Malachi Mulligan is coming too. Moore asked him to bring Haynes. Did you hear Miss Mitchell's joke about Moore and Martin? That Moore is Martin's wild oats? Awfully clever, isn't it? They remind one of Don Quixote and Sancho Panza. Our national epic has yet to be written, Dr. Sigerson says. Moore is the man for it. A knight of the rueful countenance here in Dublin, with a saffron kilt. O'Neill, Russell. Oh, yes, he must speak the grand old tongue, and his Dulcinea. Oh, James Stephens is doing some clever sketches. We are becoming important, it seems. Cordelia, Cordolio, Lear's loneliest daughter, Nook Shotten. Now, your best French polish. Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Russell, Stephen said, rising. If you'll be so kind to give the letter to Mr. Norman. Oh, yes. If he considers it important, it'll go in. We have so much correspondence. I understand, Stephen said. Thanks. Good Ilja. The Pig's Paper, Bullock Befriending. Singh has promised me an article for Donna too. Are we going to be read? I feel we are. The Gaelic League wants something in Irish. I hope you'll come round tonight. Bring Starkey. Stephen sat down. The Quaker librarian came from the leave-takers, blushing. His mask said, Mr. Dedalus, your views are most illuminating. He creaked to and fro, tiptoeing up nearer heaven by the altitude of a chopine, and, covered by the noise of outgoing, said low, Is it your view, then, that she was not faithful to the poet? Alarmed face asks me, Why did he come? Courtesy or an inward light? Where there's reconciliation, Stephen said, there must have been first a sundering. Yes. Christ Fox in leather trews, hiding a runaway in blighted tree fox from hue and cry, knowing no vixen, walking lonely in the chase. Women he won to him, tender people, a whore of Babylon, ladies of justices, bully tapsters' wives, fox and geese, and in new place a slack, dishonoured body that was once comely, once as sweet, as fresh as cinnamon, now her leaves falling all bare, frightened of the narrow grave and unforgiven. Yes, so you think. The door closed behind the outgoer. And there I'll pause. So as A.E. George Russell has left the library, that's where we'll leave it for today. I did warn you that it's pretty dense stuff, but we'll take it slow in the commentary video. I'll pretty much go through it line by line, not absolutely every line, but as much as I can do. And I think we'll then be able to make sense of it. So until then, thank you very much for watching and listening. This is Russell Raphael from North London, Ulysses, and goodbye.